Let's speak to former Guantanamo Bay prisoner, now outreach director of the advocacy group Cage, Moazzam Begg. Moazzam, good afternoon to you, and thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you know what's interesting about this? I didn't actually think I would ever hear, not even Donald Trump, any president, sitting US president, talk about Guantanamo Bay again. You spent a lot of time there. First of all, does it surprise you to hear what he said?
No, it doesn't in any way at all, because remember before he came, or just shortly after he came into power, he said that he's going to fill up Guantanamo. He actually said, I'm going to load it up with some more bad dudes. That's the terminology he used. So as far as he's concerned, Guantanamo is a viable option. It's not a place where torture occurred. It's not a place where false imprisonment occurred or cruel, inhuman and degrading treatment. It's just part of the American strategy and its apparatus against deemed terrorism suspects. But as you just rightly pointed out, there's this guy, Stephen Paddock. He killed 58 people in LA and wounded over 500. There was no discussion, no mention, no idea, no suggestion that anybody like him would ever, had he lived, be sent to Guantanamo. In fact, America has more anti-terror legislation and has convicted more terrorists for longer periods of time than any country in the Western world. So they already have the apparatus. I don't think there's any political correctness going on here. In fact, there's political incorrectness, and that is the targeting of people based upon their ethnicity, based upon their perceived religion and so forth, has caused America to come into this place, not just because of what's happening domestically, but abroad. And until that's tackled properly, this terrible type of thing is going to keep recurring, and no amount of additional rhetoric and hate and invasion and bombing is going to change that, I'm afraid. And that's the statistics say that, our security services say.
Yeah, I'm interested in looking at your file here. People, illegal combatants, they weren't allowed access to any kind of help, assistance or the like, unless they had confessed to something. Tell my listeners what it was like, just a little bit if you can, at Guantanamo.
So you've used the term enemy combatant. I've actually written a book called Enemy Combatant, and that was because of the title that the American administration had given us. And they essentially said that you people are enemies of the United States of America, which wasn't proved, and you're combatants, which also wasn't proved. And it was a status that essentially said that you have no rights as a prisoner of war under the Geneva Conventions.
Yes,
therefore you can be.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is.
So we can do what we like with you.
Yeah, and they did. They literally did. So we were held without charge or trial. No access to family, no access to communications, no access to newspapers.
Yeah, but we've got people in this country who were kept without, charge or trial. So we've had that. People have been here for a decade or so for that.
But in addition to that, torture. So I've witnessed 2 people being beaten to death by American soldiers.
Tell me what they did to you.
Well, there's a whole list of things, but I guess that...
Yeah, you're going to tell me to go and read your book. And I appreciate that. I probably should have, and I will. But I'm just trying to get a sense, because the reason I'm leading you down that road, Moazzam, let me tell you, okay, so that we can just cut to the chase on this, is that you were accused of something that you didn't do. If this man has been shot and this man has come out of the lorry and he has driven his car along where Ground Zero is one of the most, protected places in America, and he has killed 8 people and he has injured 12 people, then there will be lots of people who don't give a damn what happens to him. There'll be lots of people who say, because it's either we take him to Guantanamo or he's killed after he's convicted anyway.
See, the problem with this is that America itself has a robust system by any standards in terms of prosecuting terrorists. The thing is, if he was sent to Guantanamo, the likelihood is that he won't get prosecuted, because nobody leaves Guantanamo as a result of any prosecution at all. And those who've been found guilty of any crime have actually been freed. So imagine the guys that are accused of carrying out 9/11. Some of those are still in Guantanamo. They've still not been charged with a crime.
Right. Okay.
After 12 years. See my point?
No, I do take your point. But you know, and I know, he doesn't mean it. It's just bluster. It's like the drunk guy in the back of the cab, isn't it? He's talking nonsense. You know it, and I know it.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, yeah. But the very fact that he's saying this is not... Remember, President Bush, he opened Guantanamo, but shortly afterwards he said, I want to close the place. And he actually freed more people than Obama did. But with Trump, I think he's a true believer in the idea that laws, rules, regulations, Magna Carta, habeas corpus, and so forth can only be used for a certain group of people, which doesn't include.
Do you think that he thinks that you are lesser of a human being, children of a lesser God, as a result of being Muslim?
Not just Muslim, but if you were Muslim and Hispanic or black or so forth, absolutely, I have no doubt in my mind at all. I mean, when he says things like that these people, and it's been said before, that people are the worst of the worst, as Rumsfeld had said before in the past. The people who came out, some of the first people who came out to support Donald Trump were the Ku Klux Klan. So let's have no pretenses about what sort of president the United States of America has elected. It seems almost bipolar to go from Obama, who said, I'll close Guantanamo, and signed an executive order to say that it will be closed, to Trump, who says that I want to keep it open and fill it up with people. I mean, which way is it? It just seems like, as I said, bipolar.
Thanks very much, Moazzam. I appreciate your time very much. Moazzam Begg there, who, as you probably know by now, was a prisoner at Guantanamo Bay. He's now an outreach director of advocacy of the group Cage. Moazzam Begg speaking to us